doing it because the fans just want to see him in the ring, regardless of who he fights against.
Tom, obviously.
DONTAE'S Boxing Nation.
DONTAE'S Boxing Nation, what's going on, guys? Well, I'll tell you right now, when people look back at 2016, it will be remembered for a couple different reasons. 2016 will be remembered because it will be considered one of the best years of boxing in quite some time. We have Ward versus Kovalev, which is a battle for supremacy. The winner of that fight is undeniably the undisputed pound-for-pound king when it comes to the sport of boxing. We had a lot of terrific fights this year, a lot of candidates for Fight of the Year, and one of those candidates for Fight of the Year was on free TV, and that was Thurman versus Porter. So some could say 2016 was the year of the new undisputed pound-for-pound king, and some could also say that 2016 was the year of David versus Goliath, because we've already seen Canelo versus Amir Khan, and now this September 10th, we're going to see Golovkin versus Kell Brook. So the closer we get to September 10th, the more we're starting to hear Kell Brook's confidence. And I truly believe it's confidence. I don't think he's just trying to sell the fight. I truly believe that Kell Brook thinks that he can win this fight. But this is what he recently had to say on his Twitter when it comes to moving up to middleweight and fighting Gennady Golovkin. Quote, "People go on about weights, but Mike Tyson wasn't the biggest heavyweight, and he was fighting people 3 or 4 stone heavier. He was an animal. You are going to see the best of me. I am at a natural weight at 160, and watch me perform September 10th. Now let me say this. Even though Kell Brook, he just said something outside of the Mike Tyson reference, he said something that was very similar to what Amir Khan said leading up to the Canelo fight. I believe Amir Khan said, maybe I'm a natural 160 pounder. And then he said, you guys are going to be surprised when you see my power and my size at that division. And of course, after the fight, Amir Khan revealed that Canelo was just way too big for him. He talked about Canelo Alvarez surprising him by rehydrating all the way up to 183 pounds, which suggested he was fighting someone bigger than even Gennady Golovkin. According to Amir Khan, he was fighting a cruiserweight that night. So it doesn't sound extremely promising when we hear Kell Brook say things that are eerily similar to what Amir Khan said. Now, one thing I will say is I believe a lot of us boxing fans are hoping that Kell Brook, he goes into the ring and he really is truly a middleweight, or even naturally a junior middleweight. And hopefully he was just draining himself to stay at 147 like some fans have speculated. But we won't know until September 10th. What I can tell you right now, though, just looking at this picture, is Kell Brook definitely doesn't look like a middleweight to me. As far as I'm concerned, he still looks like a welterweight, maybe a junior middleweight, but he doesn't look like a middleweight, at least not standing next to Gennady Golovkin. Now, when Kell Brook made the Mike Tyson comparison, I thought that was a bad comparison, because in this fight, the fighter that's closer to a Mike Tyson would be the Goliath in this fight, and that's of course Gennady Golovkin. This is the reason why that analogy or that comparison that Kell Brook used, it would be more fitting for Golovkin moving up in weight. Because if Golovkin moved up in weight, then you can clearly say, well, you know, look at Mike Tyson. He was a lot shorter than a lot of these fighters. He was naturally smaller than a lot of these fighters. And yet Mike Tyson was able to dominate everyone in the heavyweight division in his prime. This is the reason why I believe Gennady Golovkin should attempt to do what his opponent is doing in this fight, and that is move up. I truly believe Abel Sanchez, Gennady Golovkin's trainer, he's told me on numerous occasions that Golovkin will move up eventually. I just thought it was a little interesting that after Abel has said that on numerous occasions, Gennady Golovkin, he came out, did an interview, and he basically said he's not planning to move up at all until he unifies the belts. And then you hear Golovkin's promoter, Tom Loeffler, saying something different than Golovkin. He's saying, we would have took the James DeGale fight if Eddie Hearn would have offered James DeGale. We've also heard Tom Loeffler saying that they liked the Gilberto Ramirez fight at 168. So I don't know what to believe when you're hearing a lot of conflicting reports. But going back to Kell Brook, this fight is definitely intriguing to me just because it is David and Goliath. Just because if Kell Brook were to pull off the upset, this would be a huge upset in the sport of boxing. I truly don't think that we as boxing fans know enough about Kell Brook yet. All we know is he beat Sean Porter in what was not an extremely dominant performance, but he got the job done. One thing to note though, in that fight, not saying Sean Porter is Gennady Golovkin, but in that fight, with Sean Porter having an inside style that is just a little similar to Gennady Golovkin, Kell Brook was able to neutralize Sean Porter's inside game by tying him up and smothering his punches. I interviewed former champion Montel Griffin the other day, and he basically said, if you want to study a way to have a chance of beating the Gennady Golovkin, you have to watch the Willie Monroe fight. He said Willie Monroe, he had the right plan. He just had no power to get Gennady Golovkin's respect. It'll be really interesting to see if Kell Brook, who keeps talking about this surprising power that he has at 160, it'll be interesting to see if a welterweight moving up 2 weight classes can gain Gennady Golovkin's respect. We'll see. We'll see. Now, the smallest Kell Brook is, I truly believe that if Kell Brook is still in this fight after 6 rounds without being knocked down, without being badly hurt, this may actually turn out to be an actual fight. Once again, if Kell Brook is still standing after 6 rounds without being seriously hurt. That's pretty much all I got for now. I'm on to the next one.
Hi, you're watching DONTAE'S Boxing Nation.